Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video I'm super excited about. I've been researching it for like 5-6 hours now, just specifically for this video, but like the topic as a whole is something I'm always interested in, always have been interested in, because it's literally the future of fashion. So let's just get into it. I want to talk about all the different ways future technology is going to impact the fashion industry. And I say all the different ways, but obviously there's going to be a lot of things that we don't know about yet. Like, technology is going to change in the next few years. So I guess this video is where I see the technology going right now, based on how it is right now. And maybe we'll do a follow-up video in a couple of years when things have progressed even more and we can like look back and evaluate how right we were with this video or how much we got it wrong. I wanted to start this video with a quote from Jeff Bezos that my boyfriend actually told me about when I was discussing this topic. Apparently, Jeff Bezos was asked a question sort of like, what do you think will happen in the next 10 years? What will change due to technology? And he kind of countered with the question, what won't change? And that was what he was more interested in, because he saw that the whole future pretty much is going to change and there's going to be disruption everywhere. But for this video, I want to talk about the things that are potentially going to change. So I've broken it down into sort of different sectors for the fashion industry. It's not an exhaustive list. It's more like the things that are interesting to me, and I hope are interesting to you. And if I've missed something out that you want to talk about, then comment it below. We can like have a little discussion, do like a bigger range of topics. But yeah, let's just get into it with the first one. So I wanted to start with fashion communication, since that's literally my job. And I guess where we should start is the recent layoffs in fashion journalism happening. It seems every other week a fashion publication is closing down or cutting back on jobs. Like even big ones like Vogue are really struggling right now. And there's been major restructuring to try keep this big business afloat, thanks to the fact that people don't really look for, I guess, traditional media anymore. So publications have lost their authority when it comes to trends and what's, you know, on Vogue. It's TikTok now and social media and influencers who are calling the shots about what's trendy, and it feels like fashion magazines are trying to catch up. What's interesting and slightly scary, I guess, is the way that fashion communication is going to start using AI to replace journalists' jobs. Personally, I think you can always tell when it comes to whether a person has written a press release, for example, or whether an AI like ChatGPT tool has written one. I think the writing is always just a little bit flat to me. But I know that more and more brands are turning to this as a way of saving money. Actually, in fact, I had a brand that I was working with doing press releases and stuff tell me that they wanted to take me on to other projects because they were looking to create their own press releases with ChatGPT. I do think it's impacting a lot of jobs in the industry, and it's a really tough one because can AI capture the way we speak, like colloquially? I don't think so. I think it's always just going to be a little bit jilted, a little bit flat, like I said. But with the advancement of the technology, potentially this could be a thing. I just don't think it's a good thing for fashion communication industry, but it does seem to be the future. Like, I was reading an article that spoke about a recent job posting for NewsQuest Media Group that was advertising an AI assisted reporter, basically someone that's working in tandem with an AI software, maybe like ChatGPT, to create their news bulletins and create their reports. And I can see that being the future, I guess, more like, say the AI does the hardest part, which is sometimes just starting, and then a human reporter comes in and changes the things that feel stilted, or, you know, just make sure that the piece is flowing properly in a way that machines seem to struggle with. And I think that could be quite useful, but again, we're looking at major job losses, so it's not great. But I think there's also other uses for AI in fashion communication that maybe haven't been explored yet, or maybe I just haven't found. The way like AI, VR could like completely change the way brands advertise to us. Like, instead of having a magazine shoot where you've had to fly over a team of 12 and the models to the Sahara to shoot an editorial for a magazine, you could just use a green screen and then use VR effects to change that. And that's not new technology, but I think it will become a lot easier as photo editing and video editing becomes much more commonplace. Also, there are companies that are literally just using AI, like image prompts, to create a whole advert, and that's it. Like, they're not even using physical models or physical photographers and stuff. It's all just fabricated. Anyway, that kind of brings us on to the next industry I want to talk about, which is modeling. The line is already blurring between physical models and online models. I don't know if you saw Kendall Jenner's like AI version byeee or whatever that Meta was trying to sell as like a separate influencer, but with Kendall Jenner's face and Kendall Jenner's voice. And this just really freaks me out. And I know there's a couple of other celebrities they did this to, but I really disagree with this concept, to be honest. Like, I know the celebrities got quite a big payout. I think like some of the top celebrities got $5 million for the rights to their face and voice. And I think that's over like a few years or whatever. So I don't know if it was all $5 million or it was like $5 million for the first year and then it goes on exponentially. I don't know. But they are literally signing away the rights to their image, and Meta can do what they like with these celebrities. And that just freaks me out. Like, what if it comes to a point in time where they can use this avatar that looks exactly like Kendall to promote a brand that she doesn't agree with? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously she's the Kardashian. There's not many things she takes a stand on, but say she was instead a sustainable fashion influencer and Meta decided to use her face and voice to promote Shein. Like, the ethics here, I don't like. I do not like this whole like sort of messiness. And also, they won't get paid for these future campaigns considering they got like a 5 million total payout for the rights. Meta can use this digital avatar as many times as they want and partner with brands, but Kendall won't see a cent of that other than the 5 million she got. 5 million is 5 million, sure, but like, say they sign a deal that's for 6 million, she's not getting that. And I just think that's not great. Okay, so the idea of online avatars kind of leads us on to shopping. And this is one of the things I do actually agree with, and I'm really excited for where the technology is going. So a little bit of backstory, if you're not aware of this, fashion currently has a massive returns problem. And they are really struggling with the rate of people buying items and returning them straight away to the warehouse. So issues like, I don't know if you'll know the term, but you'll be aware of bracketing, where customers buy the same item in multiple sizes, knowing that they're going to pick the best fit and then send back the other sizes to the warehouse. Brands have to process all these returns, check that they're still in good quality, check that they're still the right thing that's been returned. Like, say you might have returned a small size in a medium bag, and then that goes into their system as a medium, but it's not. Like, there's this whole like logistic side, and it's kind of crippling the fashion industry. It's a lot of money and it's a lot of logistics to sort. And that's why we've seen recently brands starting to take away free returns and charge for them instead, is to try like combat this. But a really good way of combating this is using new technology to create virtual avatars that are literally succinct to your body's measurements. So imagine going online, going to a store, you want to find a dress that really fits you, and instead of having to like go to the physical store, you can create a 3D avatar with your body's exact measurements, like literally your height, your weight, your bust size, your hip size, and then you can place a digital version of that dress onto your body and you can see how that fits like really easily. That is literally the future of fashion. That is going to, I feel like this is just like a question of when, not if. It's got to be the future, right? There are some brands trialing it, but there are a couple of hiccups, like getting the fabric of a dress to mimic itself in digital in the way that it would physical. Like, say you've got like a fabric that drapes like silk, you need to be able to see that drape on your 3D avatar to see how the dress is actually going to fit. also like the avatar itself needs to be quite realistic. Like no one wants Lara Croft boobs on their avatar. They won't be able to see what the dress is doing. Leading on from avatars, kind of, this is a really like structured video. I hope you appreciate this. This is more structured than my normal videos. But leading on for avatars is like the metaverse and like digital spaces online that fashion has kind of flirted with already. But we're seeing a massive decline of interest from fashion brands in the metaverse. Like it's just not been as big, I think, as they thought. And potentially this is going to change now Apple has got involved with its like bringing out its own headset. Like as soon as Apple gets involved in something, according to my boyfriend anyway, it means that the industry will pay attention afterwards because of Apple. But for right now, brands have spent quite a bit of time on the metaverse when it first came out. Like there was a lot of hype and brands were building worlds and investing in digital products and like doing all these things, like the Roblox Forever 21 thing that I just hated. But they haven't seen much of a return on it, and it's causing a lot of fatigue, and a lot of brands are thinking it's not the future. There's a lot of issues like technological bottlenecks, like the headsets themselves not being great, not being that comfortable. There's concerns about privacy and security of these online places, and it's just causing consumers to stop and like drag their feet a little bit. And I think brands are just getting tired of that. Like they always want to see almost immediate returns on their investments, and they haven't seen that. However, I do think there is a potential here that brands need to think about more. So like there's a Metaverse Fashion Week, and I think that's not been that interesting. Like I didn't go to it. It's not had a lot of traction, but I feel like making normal fashion weeks available in the metaverse, I don't know how like technologically you could do that, could lower the barrier to entry and accessibility for like die-hard fashion consumers. Like could you imagine fashion Twitter getting a hold of like the Met Gala in VR? Like they would go crazy. The other thing to think about is like digital fashion, and just personally I don't think this is like a thing. I understand that for some people they see the appeal, but I don't see the appeal of spending what, like £500 on a designer piece that my avatar can wear. I don't see why you would do that. But then if brands aren't doing that, then they can't really make money in the metaverse. So I see why brands are pushing it, but as a consumer, I don't think it's for me. I don't think I'd ever spend money on a digital piece of clothing. But I'm prepared to eat my words. You know, in like 10 years, half my wardrobe could be online, and I would eat my words. Okay, the final kind of ideas come inspired by Claire Press's book, Where Next, which I absolutely loved and I definitely recommend. I'm trying to find my copy. It's so good. It's like a really optimistic overview of where fashion could go and all the different possible scenarios depending on what the industry chooses in the next couple of years. The chapters I was really interested in were the last ones, robotic and digital. So I kind of wanted to talk about the different ideas I got from both of them. So let's start with robotic. One of the issues Claire talks about first in this chapter is the idea of robots replacing garment workers in factories. Now, her statistic she points out is a website called willrobotstakemyjob.com. And that apparently puts the fashion sector's risk of being replaced by robots at just 3%. So that's not too bad, but it is a definite possibility, especially in garment factories. Let's talk about what that can mean. If clothes factories become fully or even just partially automated, then it could result in millions of job losses across the global south. What will that mean for those garment workers? They would be jobless, obviously. Sweatshops themselves are in a really bad place right now. They are definitely not ethical places, but replacing all of those jobs where these women are earning some money, if not, you know, the right amount of money, would just be disastrous. Like they would lose their entire income. Or there's a possibility that brands or the factories will invest in upskilling these garment workers and giving them better, jobs within the factory line. So say if a robot can piece together clothing, but they don't have enough skill to sew on buttons, then the garment workers could step in and do these more technological jobs. But that will require garment factory managers to invest in their employees, which we know is not normally the case. One of the stats Claire mentions, which really sticks with me, is the estimation that up to 80% of clothing manufactured jobs could be lost over the next decade. That is a complete disruption of those garment workers' lives. And it's something we need to be really careful about when brands are investing in the future and investing in automated factories. There's already sewing machines that can do the job of a garment worker, like these Yoo-hoo, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but like they're literally doing this on their own, and that's terrifying. Obviously it could be good for cutting down on production time, but is that a good thing in itself? Last kind of category, because I know this video is longer than normal, is the ideas I got from Claire's chapter called Digital. So this is actually like a positive, and it's nice to end on a positive, is we could be using Web3 to design better clothes. So currently, as it stands right now, brands trying to produce clothing have to draw out their specifications, which then get sent to their manufacturing factory, who then look over these specifications and decide if they can be done, decide if there needs to be technical adjustments, and there's a back and forth between the designer and the manufacturer for a good time. It's a lot of paper, and it's also a lot of difficulty understanding each other. There's often a language barrier, there's often like a delay, and one of Claire's guests wonders if we could use 3D drawings to completely change the way this is done. So just like architects use 3D drawings, and this is, commonplace now, it's kind of crazy how fashion hasn't caught up to this. It will be so much simpler, but there may be a technology barrier that brands have to overcome. So factories in the global south may not have access to computers or software that can read 3D drawings, and it may require brands to invest in this and send it over to them, or it may require the factories themselves to invest. But as we know, these factories often don't invest. Potentially it could be the only option if robots take over the factories instead. Like, they may not be able to read markings on paper, they may have to have a 3D drawing to comprehend it. So it could be that there's no choice and brands have to switch over to 3D drawings and manufacturers have to switch over. Like, literally, as you kind of get an idea about, oh, maybe this could happen, you start to spiral into like, well, this would have to happen, this would have to happen, and it's just so unknown. Like, the future is so unknown. Technology might rapidly advance in a way that no one's expecting, or fashion might drag its heels and we might not have any progress at all, and then who knows where we'll be. But it is kind of interesting to think about all these different ways fashion could evolve, and I do feel like I've missed some stuff out. So like I said, please let me know where you're interested in fashion evolving. I haven't even mentioned biomaterials. I want to do a whole video just on that, which is hopefully coming out next week. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something from it, you learned something, or it inspired you to look into something more. I can recommend resources if you want that. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a lovely, lovely week, and I will speak to you really soon. Bye.